How's it going, everybody? I had a few things I wanted to talk about this morning with Sugar here. She's my best friend. We hang out a lot. Uh, but I'm back to the topic of hobbies. I don't know. I was watching a podcast earlier this week, the Theo Vaughn podcast, and he had a guest, Dr. Andrew Huberman, who has his own podcast called the Huberman Lab. Um, and they ended up talking about uh, addiction, dopamine, how it works, kind of the science behind it. And I just thought it was pretty important. It had me thinking more kind of about hobbies, about kind of the present day scarcity of hobbies. I feel like there's so much to entertain ourselves with in the modern world that we don't really have to push ourselves to pick up anything new or learn something new because, well, 100 years ago, people would start a new hobby to fill some free time to conquer boredom. But now it's almost damn near impossible to be bored with the invention of technology and social media and our phones. I mean, I know whenever I'm bored, I have a ton of options to make me not bored, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube or turning on a show, whatever it may be. Um, but I just thought that this podcast was interesting, how they kind of explained addiction. They in this podcast they specifically talked about porn addiction, um, but it rings true with social media, with drugs, alcohol, whatever it may be. Um, I searched it up yesterday. There are natural and unnatural ways to get dopamine, and dopamine is um, the chemical in your brain that makes you happy. It's how you feel when you eat. It's how you feel when you drink a beer. It's how you feel when you hug your mom, hang out with your dogs. Gives you dopamine. Um, and what I looked up yesterday is I asked, what's the difference between dopamine that you get from drugs compared to the dopamine you get from doing a hobby you love? And the answer was quite interesting. So obviously, both of the dopamine that you get from both of those experiences is chemically the same. But where it differs is how much, and where it is released, and how that affects your brain over time. Um, so number one is the intensity, or the amount and the intensity of the release. Drugs like cocaine and meth hit your brain with like a huge surge of dopamine. It's an unnatural surge of dopamine, obviously, because it's cocaine or meth. And hobbies or natural rewards like exercise, art, music, or even socializing trigger moderate, balanced dopamine releases. Um, and a cool stat that I found was those big stats can be up to 10 times higher uh, than natural rewards. And my my first question was, well, isn't like, why is that a bad thing if we get more dopamine, right? Why is getting more dopamine through social media, through sex, or pornography, through drugs, through drinking, why is that a bad thing? And it brought me back to some probation classes that I had in high school when I got arrested with an MUI for an MUI. Uh, I peed on a cop car on accident. I didn't know it was a cop car because I was too litty. Uh, and then the cop was inside of this cop car, obviously. And his lights scared me when he turned them off, so I took off running. And I blew him out of the water at first, and with a two-step bang, I was out. But then there were more cops, and they got like tasers and guns and all that. So they got me eventually. But then I had to take these probation classes about um, substance abuse. So the first reason why unnatural dopamine uh, sources are bad is because it trains your brain to get what it wants when it wants it with no work involved, right? So just like a baby, when a baby's hungry, a baby will cry for food. The mom will pick up the baby, feed it, and then it stops crying. Obviously, that's very immature because at my age, I can't just start crying. My mom's not going to make me some food. Uh, I hope she won't. Hope, like, yeah, that'd be weird, right? So it's the same thing with drugs. It's you feel sad, you feel mad, you feel like you need something, and you do a drug, you drink, and that fills that hole, and bang, you're all good. Um, Sounds like a good idea, right? But what happens that I found uh, is different from how you get dopamine naturally or how you get it unnaturally through drugs, drinking, addiction, whatever it may be. And I found that let's see, where is it? Yeah, so drugs target the mesolimbic pathway, your brain's reward circuit, with blunt force. Obviously, that huge surge of dopamine is that blunt force. They often override other systems, numbing your response to normal pleasures. So, if you were to use addiction or abnormal sources of dopamine, such as drugs, drinking, etc., then what usually brings you happiness won't bring you happiness. So now instead of just being happy with a cheeseburger for dinner, you need cheeseburger and a beer, and then you need to smoke a cigarette afterwards. That cheeseburger just doesn't cut it anymore. Um, Same with like pornography addiction. Like when you start getting in like kind of those super explicit, heavier uh, categories of pornography, your perception of what real sex is like changes. You need more. You need whether it's more people, whether it's other things involved. It's just normal does not cut it anymore, which is a bummer, right? Everyone wants to enjoy normal things. That's what makes life life, right? And if we're always trying to make normal things some crazy dopamine surge, which is what drugs and drinking does, uh, and any form of addiction, then we can't be happy just relaxing, right? And then the long term effects. It says drugs can hijack the system, leading to a tolerance, addiction, and dopamine receptor downregulation, meaning you need more for less pleasure. This is obviously we've all heard that. Look at a little birdie. Obviously, we've all heard that about the drug addict that chases that first high, right? He or she does the drug, and then that high is just miraculous, right? It's the best thing in the world, and they never feel that again, but they're gonna overdose doing the drug to try to find it, right? But yeah. And then in contrary, hobbies tend to build resilience. They don't usually damage the dopamine system, and can even help heal after addiction. So in short, drugs slam the gas pedal. Hobbies teach you how to drive. So obviously that's important. Um, and then also what kind of segues in. I know we kind of talked about addiction there for a second, uh, which I believe is important. But another reason I believe hobbies are super beneficial to not only individuals but in turn and eventually to societies uh, is hobbies teach people how to keep being curious and creative. And this is how someone stays young minded, right? If we're always curious, we're always ready for change. We're always trying to make something, create something new. Uh, that brings us that dopamine. We're excited to learn. We're excited to do something new. We're excited to do something that is ours, right? Um, Whatever it may be. This could even be a hobby as simple as drawing or writing. It could also be something like working out or picking up an instrument, whatever it may be. But it keeps people curious. It keeps people, you're right, there's never an end goal. So there's always this progression of curiosity. There's always this progression of progression, right? You go to the gym, you don't be like, oh, I'm gonna get to 187 pounds of pure muscle and then stop. It's like, no, like there's always something better. Same with guitar or something. Like, oh, I'm not just gonna learn my favorite song because you learn your favorite song, and then by that time you probably have a new favorite song. You want to learn that one too. So it keeps you curious. It keeps you creative. Always keeps you working. And why I believe that that is important is I believe with the lack of hobbies and what we see with people who don't have hobbies and a lot of older people who've kind of, they've lived their lives and now they can relax a little bit more, is they become stuck in their ways, right? And I think a lot of people attach change to with a negative connotation, right? Like I never change, changes, yada yada, I'm the same. But that I think that's very bad. If you're the same person you were 10 years ago, if you're the same person you were yesterday, even or 2 days ago, oh sugar, oh I love you, oh I love you, sugar, oh Hector man, what's up, dude? Uh, but yeah, if you're the same person you were even last year, you're doing something wrong. Uh, it hobbies allow you to continuously change, continuously grow, and not only that hobby, but you'll start to notice in your everyday life as well, because what you learn in one part of life translates to others. Uh, so without exposure to new thoughts, ideas, philosophies, people, whatever it may be, uh, we remain the same. And that is bad because obviously we got to change with the world. We have to change with the people around us. Uh, Not only to make ourselves happy, because if we don't change with the world and the people around us, then we'll end up isolating ourselves. But also, we won't like seeing any of the other change, any more change that's going to come from that, which is obviously inevitable. Uh, and I believe we kind of see that with a lot of the world leaders that we have at the moment. Um, is oh, you're a good boy. Is there's kind of uh, a refusal to change with modern times, with modern philosophies, ideas, and with that becomes obviously a lot of backfire, a lot of commotion, a lot of hate between uh, people who agree and disagree. But regardless, so yeah, that's kind of my spiel on hobbies, dopamine, why they're important. Obviously, we talked about how unnatural sources of dopamine uh, kind of hijack your dopamine system, and what makes you usually feel happy will no longer suffice, and you have to have more, which is where drugs, alcohol, addiction, etc., comes into play. And then also hobbies as a way to continuously grow, being the best version of yourself, right? This is something that I learned from my grandfather. I think he's about 85. He's a rancher from north central Wyoming. Lived in the same town of 70 people in Shell, Wyoming for damn near his whole life. And man, he's just like a walking example of change is possible at any point in your life. And man, yeah, it's so beautiful to see because when I was growing up, uh, I remember my grandpa as a very a strong man, independent man, uh, very rigid. Not I wouldn't describe him as loving. I wouldn't describe him as lighthearted. Uh, but just like the definition of like what I would think to be like a man, um, which is cool, and there's something to be gained from that. But there's also a lot of negatives of that, as we all know. And as he has aged and as he's retired and settled down, man, he's become one of the kindest, most understanding people I've ever met. Um, there is not one thing that you can't change his mind on if he truly believes that you were right. There have been points where I've argued with him, and he has just been like, I say a point and I'm all heated in the argument, and then he just said, "Silas, you got me," and I'm like, "Damn, I've never said that shit in my life." Even like arguing with my brother, like I will die on that hill, man. I will never be wrong. But ever since that argument, since seeing my grandfather do it, I think that's pretty cool. And I believe you can't just pull that out of your ass, right? Like that's something that you have to work on. You have to kill your pride. You have to be used to being wrong. Be used to being bad at something. Be used to uh, being able to grow at something, and that's a lot of what hobbies give you, right? You don't go through this life knowing everything, no matter how many people think they do. Uh, I don't know. Even myself, I there's a few things I've been doing for a long time that I think I know everything about, and it's until I get humbled that I'm like, oh wait a second, I thought wrong. So yeah. With that being said, go pick up a hobby, go have fun. Like my grandpa's hobby is killing Russian olives. It's like an invasive tree in shell. So like he literally will do that every day, and he loves it, man. He chops them down, he poisons the stump. Sometimes he burns them. He's a little maniac, but it does it for him. So whatever does it for you, man. It doesn't have to be like a typical hobby. It could be staining decks. It could be building furniture. I don't know, but come on, sugar. We're done. Thank you guys. Hope everyone does. That's a good day. Much love.